is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Welcome one and all to the iRacing Esports Network this Wednesday night for V8's Online's live broadcast of the Porsche Supercup Australasia. A fantastic night of Porsche racing is sure to be ahead of us. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I hope everyone else is too. My name is Reese Gardiner, and joining me in the commentary box once again, Brock Cat-Eye. Brock, it's Porsche time once again.
Yeah, love these cars, and the track that they're on isn't too bad either. We saw some great racing here last week in the GT3, some awesome battles developing, and hopefully we can see the same in the Porsches. We saw last time out at Montreal, we had a little bit of a scrappy one in race 2, but also a great battle basically involving the whole top 10 for the win. It was you couldn't have predicted who was going to win that race, so that was pretty cool to see. And now we're here at Watkins, Glen, and hopefully in for some great racing. The classic boot, I might point out, so we've got that nice long straight after the S's at the very start of the circuit there for some nice drafting races all the way down.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, as you said, the classic boot. So there's no bus stop, no inner loop chicane for the drivers to contend with. So it's going to be a straight blast all the way from the S's to the carousel. And they got a few overtaking opportunities in the boot, so it certainly should be an interesting one. I'm certainly thinking about how these cars are going to handle taking those S's in a very tight group. Awful lot of aero play happening at that point, and we could see some cars getting unstuck.
Well, hopefully we see most of these guys are nice and respectful, and obviously we have a couple of races here tonight, so we need to make sure that everyone makes it through each race. And we saw in the GT3s last week, we were a little bit worried about that incident happening on the first lap, and they were really respectful. And while we had some smaller incidents throughout the race, it was overall a nice race. So hopefully these guys, they understand now. We're in round 3 of the championship, so that most of our regulars here have had some time to acclimatise to the car, and they understand this thing doesn't have a heap of downforce, and when you're right up behind someone, you're going to get a lot of, like you said, aero push and understeer coming through, particularly fast corners like the S's, which don't have a lot of grip as it is, no matter what car you're in. So hopefully they'll be careful, and we'll be in for a great couple of races here tonight, Reece.
Yeah, certainly. We are gearing up at the moment for a 20-minute race. Currently in the middle of this 10-minute practice session while all the cars are just getting acclimatized to the circuit. Noticing Anthony Winkleman just coming out of the S's with Cody Bircher hot in pursuit, demonstrating the draft here at Watkins Glen. Very oval-style racing and almost taken to the grass. And this is the kind of racing that you can expect tonight as they both go on by Isaac Edwards through the carousel. I tell you what, the drivers' standings for this series, there's certainly quite the battle starting to form. We've got Michael Healy and Forzan El Nabi heading up the championship standings right now. Michael Healy, usually a trans-Tasman racing driver, driving for One Performance Racing in this series. And he has not come away with wins in either of the first two rounds, though the wins will have gone to Joshua Anderson and Forzan El Nabi. But by sheer consistency, Healy leads El Nabi by, I believe, 8 points. So it's certainly going to be a tight one up the top, and this round could really shake things up.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's great to see that they're so close in the early stages of the championship, and hopefully we'll see that they'll stay that close as the championship goes on. So we did see a bit of a crazy one, like I said earlier. Great racing, but a bit scrappy in the last race, and that shook the order up a little bit. And this race, hopefully we see some more great racing, but not so much of the scrappiness that we've seen, and that the points stay close. You brought the attention to Healy and El Nabi being very close, but then there's a bit of a gap to Bircher in third, but then the gap from Bircher down to Mark McDonald is only about 60 points, and he's in 9th place, and about 70 to Josh Anderson in 10th place. So there's really nothing in it when 400 points are on offer for a race win here. One person has a bad race and you're up there, and you're going to jump a whole heap of people at this point, and hopefully we can keep this close. There's some great competition here in the field and some absolutely awesome drivers. So I'm keen for tonight, and these guys, they're out to play for keeps, and there's not... if you miss a round or you get a bad points finishing position, it's really hard to rack those back in.
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, in a series like this, all the cars are the same. You're not, you don't have the luxury of your car having certain advantages or disadvantages in different areas of the track. You don't have much to play with in terms of setup either. We say that every round, but it's well worth repeating because it really has an influence on how the races go here. These Porsches, very dependent on mechanical grip. That rear engine makes them very leery to drive through the fast corners. Really got to manage your trail braking and your throttle application to get the best out of these things. So really lends itself to awesome racing. The first two rounds of the series, we were at circuits that had fast sections but were mostly broken up by lots of twisties, but this is the first true high-speed circuit we go to this season.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and it is a very high speed, and I believe last week you quoted the average speed, and it was quite high there. So again, these guys are going to have to be careful here, because going at such high speeds, we saw last week in the GT3 some drivers tried to make some risky moves down that straight that cuts out the boot from the layout, and people ended up in the wall. So these guys, they've just got to race smart, and you know, there's always the opportunity to throw it around the outside of the carousel. We saw that done last week, and try and do the crossover, convert from the outside to the inside for the entry to the boot. And if you can do that, you've got the position. It's that sort of racing you want to see, not sort of running off track into the bus stop section to try and pass someone on the grass. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some great racing tonight.
Yeah, certainly. Fingers crossed over here as well. Well, we're moving into the final 20 seconds of the practice session before we flick over to the race. So just a brief talk about the qualifying sessions. Dylan Shepherd is going to be on pole for this one, and it's going to be a One Performance Racing 1, 2, 3, 4. Championship contenders, Michael Healy and Forzan El Nabi, they'll be starting in 3rd and 6th, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. And Sam Sutton, after making his sim racing return after a stint in the military, has decided to jump into this one as well for TTL Esports. So it's going to be an awesome one to be sure. So we're in the race session. Grid up on your screen now. Dylan Shepherd, Josh Anderson, Michael Healy, and Scotty Harris. One Performance Racing absolutely caning it up at the front there. Bo Albert for Altus Esports in 5th place. Forzan El Nabi lining up in 6th with Jimmy Ball, another One Performance Racing car, in 7th. Sam Sutton for TTL Esports in 8th. Zachary Hanlon, the second Altus Esports car, in 9th. And Ross Rizzo rounds out the top 10 for Trick Sim Sports.
And in 11th place, we've got Tommy Harradine, Anthony Winkleman, Cameron Dans, Brett Cananzian, Scott Larnack rounding out the top 15, and James Mackey, Harry Inwood, Adam Briggs, Jackson Suzlin Harlow, and Cody Bircher round out the top 20 here tonight.
Yes, indeed. And the rest of the field will be cycling through on your screen now, as I believe it's a very short gridding time for Watkins Glen. But we're starting up, we're getting ready to put the power down here at Watkins Glen. The long wait for the lights to go out. And we are green. We are away. That looks like a very good start from Scotty Harris in particular. Whoa, have a look at Sam Sutton there in the background. Already going for the really crazy moves here in the opening stages of the race. Let's see how many of them get
we've got Carnage back in the pack there.
Oh, yeah, that's
one of the
big.
Betmax DPR cars has been spun around there.
Yeah, very, very big incident. James McKee involved in that as well. Looks to me like it started when he just got turned a bit by Adam Briggs. And then they came together again just after that. But the race is continuing as we speak. No caution for that. But just making it into the boot section now. Dylan Shepherd still leading the way from Josh Anderson. And Scotty Harris having to defend a bit from Sam Sutton, who is really making waves here in this early stage of the race, Brock.
Yeah, well, Sam's already made up a position and he's looking very, very racy here. So he's dropped off the back there just a little bit into, and we've got Ross Rizzo's been spun around there, and that's, yeah.
Oh, that is bad, very bad.
There. Yeah, look, Rizzo's kept on going there. I'm not exactly sure what happened. We'll go back and have a quick look, but he's been
got unstuck on the curb.
He got bumped by someone from behind, I believe. In fact, oh yeah, he got unstuck by the curb and then he got bumped by his teammate, and that shot him out into one of the TTL cars.
Yeah, definitely. Scotty Harris around as well, so we had people losing it all over the place on this first lap. He just got bumped by Sam Sutton and then lost it on his own. And the people behind him didn't take much avoiding action. I don't know how much avoiding action they could have taken. That was out of most people's control.
Yeah, and we've got Brody Whitmore in the pits as well. Wow, that was a big one for Scotty Harris there. Yeah, that part of the circuit's a bit blind. You come over that hill and around, and if there's a car there, well, you're not really going to be able to dodge your way around it. So that was a bit of aerobatic work there from Scotty Harris, and unfortunate for him. He's going to keep on going here, but his car's very dinged up at the moment.
Yes, indeed. It's on for the lead, though. Josh Anderson versus Dylan Shepherd down the back straight. Anderson's going to go for the move here. These guys are teammates, so they both know what's at stake here. I mean, they do like to have a good race at one performance, but Shepherd just recognizing that Anderson had the pace there and letting him go. They can draft each other, help their team advantage there at the front. So they're continuing to hold off the assault from Bo Albert. Michael Healy just defending from him at the moment as they go through the toe of the boot.
And just point out here, we've talked about Altus Esports having good speed. Well, Albert's up 1 and Hanlon's up 3 in those Altus Esports Porsche mobiles. So they're showing some good pace here. And as you said, Albert is ranging up on the back of this battle here. And looking in the background, Hanlon was having a quick look there on Sam Sutton, who's also made up 3 positions. So Sutton, while he had a really strong start to this race, has dropped off just a little bit. And now it's up to Hanlon to work his way past El Nabi behind them, not looking horribly racy either at the moment. So as we said earlier, he is in a bit of a fight for the championship at the moment. So his finishing positions are important, but also consistency, as we highlighted for Healy. So just a couple of things to watch out for.
Yeah, certainly. Got to remember that Michael Healy definitely does have the advantage over Forzan and El Nabi here, and El Nabi actually carrying a little bit of damage, so might have to watch out for that. The battle between Sutton and Hanlon, meanwhile, looks like it's about to get spicy because Sutton ran a little bit wide in turn 1, and Hanlon has a little bit of a run, but he's not going to make good on it through the S's. Very on the edge through the S's here, especially when you come up to those walls. It's a very dangerous part of the track, and Hanlon has managed to hold on. So this is going to be a move here, Brock, into the carousel.
He's well and truly cleared him there. Yeah, just as he was coming into the braking zone, it was almost cleared, and Hanlon's managed to pull that car up. Sutton's going to throw it right back in behind there. Bit of gamesmanship, trying to show his way around and see if he can get back past him, but Hanlon's showing that Altus Esports wheel really has what it takes. He's run a little bit wide there, but not wide enough to really give Sutton the advantage. And El Nabi now is looking pretty strong coming up behind Sutton. So, yeah, he's dropping back now. Now it's up to Hanlon to come back to his teammate, and they can help draft back up to the front there.
Yes, indeed. So the teams at the front at the moment, definitely Altus Esports and One Performance Racing. TTL Esports getting in on this as well with 2 cars in the top 10, Sutton and Larnack. But after Rizzo's spin on lap 1, he's finding himself in 20th position with quite a bit of damage on that car, fighting with the likes of Grant Hines et al. But up the front, it looks to me like the top 4 have well and truly broken away.
Yeah, we've got Anderson and Shepherd, 1 and 2, and as you were saying before, I think they'll be working together. If one ranges up on the other, let him pass and play that drafting game, because that's what's going to get them the win, and they're already going ahead. And they've got Healy just behind here, but Albert's right there, and obviously Albert wants third place. These Altus Esports guys have had so much pace, but they just haven't been able to convert it into great results, and right now Albert's in a pretty good place. Healy, I think, had a bit of a moment through the S's there. So now Albert's getting a little bit closer. He's dropped off a bit. So, like you said before, the cars are a little bit on edge. They're ragged. And we're going to have Anderson go back down the inside of Shepherd here by the looks of it. And that's that tactic we were talking about before, that dragging each other down the straight and just letting each other by. It's faster that way than battling each other.
Yeah, of course. And it's all about trying to get away from the assault from Albert, because at this stage, they definitely know he's a threat, as Healy just ran a tiny bit wide in that corner. But, you know, in this section of the circuit, there's multiple lines possible through these corners, and it's awesome to see drivers experimenting with certain lines through those sections. Very interesting, but Bo Albert still managing to hang on regardless. Update from race control: Adam Briggs has been black flagged for his part in that turn 1 incident. So race control pretty on the money. Michael Healy a little bit wide though. This is going to let Albert possibly have a go, but a little bit too much traction for Albert to do anything there.
Yeah, Albert's in this section of the track. You just have to hang in there a little bit. There's not much of an opportunity to pass. It's really on this main straight. And Healy was a little bit wide then as well. So it's this main straight and then after the S's. And we saw last week it was hard for some cars to get draft, particularly after the S's, because they got too close in the S's and then couldn't work it up. And Albert's going to try go down the inside here. Oh, that was very close there. Healy was very nice. Him and gave him lots of racing room. So they'll keep going into the S's here. Albert smells that podium. And we're looking at Larnack now. And he's gone off the track at turn 1 there.
Yeah, that was a good save actually from Larnack. He lost the rear in turn 1, but just overcorrected, getting a CPR kart parts replay of that. Thankfully, there's that tarmac runoff area there, so Larnack was able to recover without slamming into the wall, but that's definitely hurt his top 10 aspirations. And now Sutton is under quite a bit of pressure from El Nabi. Meanwhile, a change for the lead as well, we're hearing. Anderson's gotten back by Shepherd. That's just what those top 2 have been doing for the last few laps, and I think we can expect it to continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and they're just slowly creeping further ahead of Healy and Albert here, and Albert had a very big look at the carousel on this lap here, just couldn't make it work. And we're having a look back at Sutton and El Nabi now as the battle heats up between them. El Nabi is quite close there as Sutton continues to, drop off the back of Hanlon there. El Nabi's going to have to stick in there for the time being. Larnack obviously having that incident's taken the pressure off the back of El Nabi, so he can put his full focus on passing the TTL driver of Sam Sutton. As now they're coming back to the very end of the circuit here. In the foreground of the camera there, you see Albert still chasing down Healy, but here El Nabi is looking very, very racy, and he looks like he wants to get past. He knows the championship implications. He needs to get further up to reduce that points loss to Healy up in front of him. And that was wide there as well. He nearly hit the tyre wall on the exit. These cars are very susceptible to damage, particularly to their wings.
Yeah, certainly, but that was using all of the space available to him was what El Nabi was doing there, and it looks like he's actually gotten the rear hooked up very nicely off the exit of the corner there. He's just going to lose out a bit through the S's though. Sutton seems a little bit more confident through that initial part of the S's section, but watch for El Nabi down at the back straight. With that damage, the slipstream is going to mean everything to this guy, and it actually looks like he's not gaining all that much on Sutton. He's this might be just a waiting game for Forzan at the moment.
Yeah, well, even then, coming down the straight, he was sitting half in and half out of the draft, and that's not going to do him any good. So Sutton took to the middle of the track, and El Nabi's actually made a small mistake there, locking the front left and running wide, but he'll keep on going, but that's not going to help his chances. Yeah, he was just sitting outside that draft, and that's not going to help him get past. So whether El Nabi's playing at a game here and just trying to make it to the end, we've seen Rizzo win the GT3 championship twice now with consistency as he runs a bit wide there. So maybe El Nabi's playing the same game as his Trick Sim Sports teammate there.
That's it. It's all about the long game for Trick Sim Sports. Even in short sprint races like this, they're always thinking, I think, a few laps ahead of most others. At least that's the impression that we get of them from seeing their past results and behavior out on track. Speaking of Trick Sim Sports, Rizzo still has not found his way out of 20th place, so that's a bit of a shame for him. But looking further back down the field, I'm noticing Anthony Winkleman way down the field, down in 37th position. He's had to pit, actually. I think that might have been to fix some damage.
Yeah, well, he did make contact there with, I believe it was him after Rizzo hit that curb and went wide. Anthony Winkleman made nose to tail contact there, which may have given him some steering damage. Hard to tell how hard the contact was, but I'd assume it's from that and any ensuing damage he took from any contact after that. So unfortunate for him, and yeah, he'll just have to come back and try fight hard in the next race and go for it.
That's exactly right. The drivers do have another 20-minute race after this one concludes, so the event certainly not over and done with by any means, but if you're that far down the field, your points are definitely going to hurt a bit coming into those future rounds. Update on the battle between Sutton and El Nabi. A third player may be joining this little match soon. Brett Cananzi is looking quite quick at the moment and is drawn right up to the back of these guys.
Yeah, well, El Nabi just can't quite get past Sutton, and that's he's holding them up a little bit. Mind you, Hanlon was skipping ahead a bit more, but has now dropped off even more. So the draft, we can see, is quite important here as the pair of Anderson and Shepherd and Albert. And we also look at Tommy Harradine. He's just fallen back through the pack here. He's got some damage on his wing. He just lost 5 spots in the space of that straight there. So something's happened there. I'm going to go back and have a quick look at that. But looks...
He just ran majorly wide. Majorly wide, like he was all the way on the edge of the circuit.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. He locked the. It looks like he's locked the rears and had a moment coming into the corner, just gone too fast, and he's had to get right on the brakes around the outside of the circuit there, and that's just let everyone follow past him.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate for him. He was he'd made up 5 or 6 positions up until that point of the race.
Yeah, he certainly had. He started 11th. He wasn't 11th at the time of the incident, but yeah, falling back down the order all the way to 16th. So Tommy Harradine with a little bit more work to do with that bent rear wing. Top 4 remaining the same, but Sutton and El Nabi continuing to fight here, and looks to me like El Nabi, you know, he gets those little sniffs of a draft, those little sniffs of a pass on Sutton, but he just lacks the straight line speed to try and get it done. Sutton running a little bit wide in the carousel, but no, El Nabi having a little bit of a look, but once again, there's not much he can do. These cars very well matched, and you really got to tailor your driving style to them, but El Nabi, he's smelling blood. You can see little gaps opening here and there.
You can see the pressures affecting Sutton there. He's run wide or gone deep in the last couple of corners, and El Nabi's really starting to throw the car around and fill his mirrors as much as he can. So El Nabi's decided now's the time, and Sutton's got to do his best to hold him behind him there. So, I mean, we've got Harradine off as well with only about 6 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, Harradine.
That's big.
Quite very badly off, actually. That... goodness me, I'm not quite sure what happened there. He actually lost it on his own coming through the turn, just locked it up, and he attempted to spin it around, but oh goodness me, that was incredibly dangerous, and it ended up taking out another car in that ensuing melee. That was Cameron Dance. Looks like Ross Rizzo was involved in that one as well, so don't think the stewards will be looking at that one too kindly as we're looking at El Nabi and Sutton again. Oh, goodness me. They are so close through the S's right now. And this is the best chance El Nabi has had at a pass yet, if I can get the words out of my mouth. And, but you can see he just doesn't have the momentum. And Kananzi, have a look at Kananzi. He's got that double draft going there. But El Nabi up alongside Sutton, and Sutton is going to try and hold it around the outside of Carousel here. When it comes to the mid-corner, though, that's where all the difference is made. Sutton is going to hold it here, and he'll have the inside for the next corner. El Nabi just coming down, trying to get to the inside, but saw Sutton there. No harm, no foul so far.
Yeah, this is a great battle so far. Wow, that was a surprise move by El Nabi there, throwing it up the inside and trying to make it work. They've nearly made contact there. This is some great respectful racing from these guys. El Nabi's going to have to give it up. Kananzi, his eyes are wide, I would say, at the moment, just watching all this happen. El Nabi trying to fake a move again, trying to put Sutton off, and it's just not working right now. So he's going to have to go back up the hill here. We saw he nearly made it work at turn 1, but Sutton, kudos to him for holding around the outside of the carousel. That's not easy to do. So now it's going to go back here. El Nabi's lost a little bit of time back now, and he's going to have to fall back into Kananzi here, and Sutton's got a bit of a reprieve as they come round for the next lap here.
Yes, indeed. No move being made at the last corner. Not really a passing zone. But from the stewards, Tommy Harradine has been black flagged. 30-second stop and hold penalty applied to him for the attempted rejoin. So the stewards doing their job very well, I'd have to say. They're actually right on it. That's something that that we forgot to mention on the broadcast last week. Since the changes made to race control, it's been really, really good. They've kept the drivers very accountable, I would have to say, and it's resulted in some very fair penalties being handed out.
Oh, definitely, particularly with battles like this between Sutton and El Nabi. El Nabi doesn't need penalties or anything like that, and I think the way race control are handling it is absolutely beautiful, so that's great. Speaking of El Nabi, he's thrown it down the inside on the entry to the boot here of Sutton. He's going to have to hold it there, and Sutton's gotten a better run, and that's going to give him the inside into the next part of the circuit here. El Nabi is trying. We've got to give him points for trying here, and he's tried to look at the inside, but Sutton's covered him off there. This is some great racing here, and this has actually brought Scott Larnack back into it, who, if you remember, went off the track earlier at turn 1. So he's been brought right back into this battle here, making a really nice little battle pack from 6th through to 9th.
Yes, indeed, and actually a 4-car battle now, and with Sutton, it's the momentum. It's all about the momentum. He's just able to carry a little more speed through the middle of the corners than El Nabi can, and that's what's keeping him ahead right now. El Nabi, he's committing to moves. He's making himself known, but he's just unable to follow through on them. It's definitely more of a psychological game than an outright, I'm just going to pass you sort of deal. So they come around to start lap 11, and we've actually entered the final minute of the race. So it's going to be 2 laps to go at the moment. Josh Anderson and Dylan Shepherd still line astern for the lead, and Healy has dropped Albert completely. So those guys are well and truly on their own. And this battle for 6th place back is definitely where it's at the moment in the top 10. El Nabi looking for another run now on Sutton. See if he can get it done this time. But watch what Sutton does. Okay, El Nabi not going for the move. Kananzi having a bit of a look. Oh, El Nabi saw him coming there. Looked a bit late from my perspective. I could be wrong, but that has certainly not helped matters for El Nabi, and it's allowed Sutton to break away a bit. Oh, no, there we go. Yep, there we go. That was a contact there between Larnack and Kananzi, so Brett in the wall with that, and that is a real shame. Brett Kananzi, oh no, he's gotten involved in another incident trying to recover. It looked like a One Performance Racing car. I'll have a look at who that was. Oh, goodness me. Car number 31, that was Harry Inwood. Real shame.
He tried to avoid him there as well. He saw him and slammed on the brakes, but then Kananzi tried to get out of the way there, and they both went the same way. That's really a shame there. After what was turning into such a great battle for the last positions in the top 10, it's all gone wrong there, unfortunately.
Certainly, and that's one of the things that you got to look out for at Watkins Glen as we are now back live. There isn't much space between the track and the walls in that section of the circuit, so if you're trying to recover from a spin, you've really got to do it mindfully. You've got to be careful of cars coming up on you. It's just one of those things that's difficult to do cleanly, and unfortunately, both Kananzi and Inwood have learned that the hard way. But we are on the final lap now. Josh Anderson leading the way, but now that it's the final lap, we could see a proper attack from his teammate Dylan Shepherd. And you can see Anderson actually, full defensive. Have a look at that. He's going to force Shepherd to go wide, and Shepherd actually braking very late to try and hold it around the outside. Oh, he almost did it, but Anderson just picked up the throttle a little bit better. Shepherd could do it here. Another opportunity to put a move on your rival, but once again,
it's going to be close here.
Oh, yeah, actually, yes, side by side.
Very close. Anderson's got the line here. Shepherd's going to try outbrake him, maybe go for the over-under there, try and get a better run out of the corner, and it looks like he has done that. Wow, Anderson's nearly forced him off the track there. Shepherd's taken to the grass on the right-hand side of the circuit here, but now he has the inside line in the last half of this lap. This is going to be great here. They've made a bit of contact there. Shepherd will go through on Anderson on the last lap of these races. These teammates are playing for keeps now. Shepherd has gone very defensive here. He knows that Anderson will be hungry for this. They've been teammates for the last 11 laps, but on the 12th lap, the final lap, all bets are off. Shepherd is in the lead at the moment. It looks like it will stay that way. Anderson, if he throws it up the inside here, that will be a Hail Mary attempt. And Shepherd coming through the final turn now. Could be a chance for a draft here. Anderson is still very close to Shepherd, but it looks like, there you go, Shepherd's flashing there, and he comes across the line. First place for Dylan Shepherd, second for Joshua Anderson with that last lap battle. Great stuff, guys.
You can't say that they don't. You can't say they have team orders at One Performance Racing. That's exactly what we want to see. A nice battle between teammates to cap off the race. Pack behind David Haynes still going at it here. Scotty McQueen and Justin Strickland. Oh, no. There we go. Scotty McQueen off. Well, not off. He's still on the track, but goodness me. Very dramatic way to end the race between him and Justin Strickland. Actually, it seems that was certainly an interesting way to end it. And Scotty McQueen's actually going to lose out pretty badly from that.
Yeah, well, he's let, there's been almost 10 people have passed him there on that lap, so that after that incident, so it just looked like a bit of misunderstanding where the drivers around him were, and it resulted in a pretty spectacular last lap crash there.
Yes, indeed. Well, that race, certainly lap one, there were quite a few incidents, and we had some other little isolated incidents of carnage throughout the race, but all in all, I think that was a good sight better than some of the shenanigans we've seen at previous rounds, Brock. Race results now up on screen. Dylan Shepherd is your winner for race one. Josh Anderson in second. Michael Healy comes home in third. Bo Albert makes the leap from fifth to fourth. Zach Hanlon from ninth to fifth. Good run from him. Sam Sutton in sixth. Forzan El Nabi losing a spot to seventh place. Scott Larnack making a big charge from 15th to 8th. Jimmy Ball in ninth, and Mark Rayner making it 10th from 26th on the grid.
And then in 11th place from 29th on the grid, David Haynes. Justin Strickland from 30th on the grid to 12th. Harry Inwood in 13th. Bruce Smith in 14th from 25th. Steve Jansen in 15th. David Mulhall 16th. Jackson Suzlin Harlow in 17th. Wayne Hewitt in 18th from 31st. And Tim Weston 19th from 33rd. Scotty McQueen ended up 20th. Still made up 4 spots on his position, but he was quite a ways up the grid after just before that incident happened on the last lap there.
Jason Costley in car number 181 in 21st. James McKee coming home in 22nd. Shannon Mason, 20 positions made up, 43rd to 23rd. That's really good from him. Richard Hunter in 24th. Brody Whitmore in 25th. Grant Hines in 26th. Ross Rizzo. Oh, that is certainly the horror story of the race. 27th position from 10th. Taylor Oakes, 28th. Rounding out the top 30, Scott Wasson and Anthony Winkleman. Another heartbreak.
And then in 31st, we have Phil Gadd. 32nd, Cody Bircher. 33rd is Reese Keane. 34th, Isaac Edwards. 35th, Andrew Mogridge. And 36th is beginning our lap downs and DNFs for the race. So we've got Brett Cananti, who had that incident late on. Adam Briggs, Tommy Harradine, Cameron Dance, Scotty Harris, David Jellings, Stephen Zukovic, and looks like James Seitz didn't start the race here tonight.
So that is your 43-car field for the first race in the V8's Online Porsche Supercup Australasia here at Watkins Glen. We're going to go on a quick break, but don't go away. We're going to be back racing very, very soon. You're watching the Porsche Supercup Australasia on the iRacing Esports Network.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers.
Oh, there we go! They touch! This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside of Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Welcome back, one and all, to the iRacing Esports Network. We are V8s Online, and this is the Porsche Supercup Australasia at Watkins Glen Classic Boot. Race 1 was certainly an interesting one. We saw some drafting battles between teammates right at the end. We saw a fair few isolated crashes, but all in all, I would say it was an interesting way to start the night. But now, Brock Cat-Eye, we go to race 2.
Yeah, well, that first race was great. I think that some of the racing we saw in that, and while there were a few incidents, we didn't see the mass exodus of cars that we saw in race 1 at Montreal last week. So I'm really excited for this second race. And like you said, there was some great battling between teammates, as well as throughout the field, drafting battles, and we saw El Nabi throwing it down the inside of Sutton and trying to make him make a mistake. And in the end, it was Kananzi behind that fell into the clutches of Scott Larnack behind him, and that's where it all went wrong. So I'm really keen to see, and I believe you were telling me they start in the same positions that they finished in the last race. So that gives the Altus Esports guys that ended up 4th and 5th another chance to try and snag their first podium of our championship here at the moment. And it also gives those DPR guys another chance to really take advantage and extend that championship lead. As we saw, Shepard and Anderson worked beautifully together in that last race until the last lap, and then all bets were off. They raced cleanly, but they raced hard, and that's what we love to see in this series.
Yeah, certainly. That's exactly what we want to see, and hopefully we will see more of it in this race. The weather for this race is quite different to what we saw in the earlier one. It's currently overcast with a 23-degree track temperature, so a very cold track which will provide quite a bit more grip at optimum operating temperatures for the drivers. It's going to make things interesting for the race.
Yeah, well, that grip might help. We saw El Nabi struggling to get the run out of corners to really make that move stick on Sutton. And, you know, part of that may be with the braking performance, but also getting the drive out of the corner on, I think, what was a 29-degree track proved more difficult. With this 23 degrees, he can get that accelerator throttle working properly for him. He can really try and make those moves work, and that goes for everyone in the field. But they're going to have to be careful, because just because the track's a bit cooler, it means they have a little bit of grip, but it doesn't mean that every pass they make is going to work, and they've just got to make sure they don't overcook it, particularly under brakes. This Porsche, it's very hard on you with brakes, and you've got to be very careful on that brake pedal to make sure that you're not going to throw yourself down and out like Scott Larnack did at turn 1 and nearly put himself in the tyre wall, but a great save that we saw there from him.
Yeah, certainly. It's entirely possible to get some major save action happening here at Watkins Glen with those expansive runoff areas at turn 1 and the carousel, but everywhere else, runoff, especially tarmac runoff, is at a bit of a premium, at least in the version that iRacing has rendered, this scan of the track. It's got some fairly interesting grass runoff areas, and walls are close at all times, especially through the boot section. So I mean, there's potential for some really awesome high-speed saves, but more often than not, I don't think they're going to end very well for the drivers.
Yeah, well, that's it, and that's why they've just got to be careful. It's great that we have this 10-minute warm-up before the race starts, because it gives them a chance to understand what they've got underneath them for the next 20 minutes of racing. So we've got all the drivers out there now having a really good go of it, trying to find where they're sitting and what times they're doing, and they can go from there. So that's what we like to see, and hopefully when it comes to the race, we'll see some great racing again like we did in the last race. And I'm honestly really keen. I think that, these guys are really fighting for championships, but our two championship contenders, Healy and El Marbi, Healy was third and El Marbi I think was back in 7th spot. So those guys, not the best of races. Like we said, consistency is key, but if Anderson and Shepherd can have another race like they did in that last one, they're going to do themselves wonders with points and for OPR as well. So I'm keen to see how they go, and if they keep working together like they did last race, could be a slam dunk for them.
Yeah, it certainly could. We'll definitely be looking out for that. We've seen a few teams rise to the fore in this series. TTL Esports have had a vast amount of success in the V8 Supercar and in many series across iRacing, even previous iterations of this championship. But those guys have kind of taken a bit of a back seat, I think, to Trick Sim Sports, One Performance Racing, and Altus Esports. Those three teams, I think, are definitely what you consider the top teams, at least in terms of one-lap pace and being able to qualify. When it comes to the races, the Altus guys seem to have a bit more bad luck than a lot of other guys seem to. The One Performance drivers, they race their hearts out and get involved in a few incidents on occasion, and the Trick Sim Sports guys, they're very much strategy players, and that it doesn't really work as well in the sprint format that this series has, but you still see them playing the long game in races, as I said earlier in this broadcast.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think, like you said, our key players are Altus Esports, OPR, and Trick Sim Sports Racing there. And that's across the GT3 Championship. Trick Sim Sports are definitely there or thereabouts. And we've seen ASM sort of, with Dane Warren in Montreal, he sort of jumped up there. But in the Porsche, yeah, OPR, they've got some great drivers underneath them. With Healy coming across from TTR as well, that's really helped bolster their lineup as well. And that's why we can see, top 3 in the last race, all OPR drivers. So they've got this understanding of the Porsche and the way it can get set up to really maximise the pace that they find no matter where they've gone to so far. And now they've just got to get more of their drivers up there, because they've had some drivers that have done really well, but some that have also fallen back in the pack, and they've got to equalise that so then they can get maximum team points for each of their pairs throughout the field, and hopefully come around with, for them anyway, a domination of this series, which would be a great start for them.
Yeah, certainly. Well, aside from all of that talk, Bo Albert currently at the top of the practice session at the moment. 1 minute 45.556. That's a full 6/10 clear of Michael Healy or thereabouts. So Healy doing pretty well there at the moment. It's very close behind him. But Albert, I think, well and truly showing that he means business in this one.
Yeah, well, Albert was really close. I didn't actually catch what happened to him in the last race, but he was right up behind Healy, and then all of a sudden we saw him and he was about 2 seconds behind him. So something weird happened there, whether his pace just dropped off or he made a mistake and couldn't quite bring it back up to the back of Healy. I'm sure he'll be looking to make amends in this race, and he's so close to a podium. If he could get Altus Esports maiden podium in the Porsche Supercup, that would mean such great things for their team. And they've been strong in the GT3 as well in other official iRacing series. They can show they've got a lot of speed in the Porsche. It really shows them as an all-round sports car team.
Yeah, certainly. That's definitely their focus is Altus. So we'll definitely be watching their progress with interest. But we're almost done with this 10-minute practice session, and we'll be getting onto the grid soon for the second 20-minute race of the night. So, Rock, they are starting from their finishing positions in race 1. I don't know how lap 1's going to go because there are some drivers that are fairly shuffled from where they started in race 1.
Yeah, well, we mentioned David Haynes is up 18 spots, and there are a few others that were up about 15 to 20 spots from their starting positions. So depending on how their qualifying went, they may be a little bit out of their depth pace-wise, but also we've seen, for example, Cameron Dance. He hasn't been the best qualifier, but he's an awesome racer. So some of these guys, they may well be where they deserve to be. So we'll quickly just give you a quick refresher on the grid here. So we've got Dylan Shepherd, who managed to take that win away from Anderson in second, then Healy third, Albert fourth, Hanlon fifth, Sutton in sixth, Elnabi seventh, Larnack eighth, Jimmy Ball in ninth, and Mark Rayner 10th.
Yes, indeed, and we'll just run through the rest of the grid for you there at the moment, but we don't have long before the drivers get going. Very short gridding time in these races, so the drivers have to be right on it, and Shepherd and Anderson up the front will definitely have to get this right if they want any hope of trying to hold off those Altus guys behind them and Michael Healy. Albert and Hanlon starting on the same row at the moment. Oh no, not the same row, but more or less side by side. Either way, the grid is go. Green flag rising, and have a look. Another amazing start from Sam Sutton. He's really got the standing start down in these cars, and he's already trying to pressure the Altus guys coming into turn 1, but they're going to exit. We'll see if anyone decides to not make it easy through turn 1. Looks like they've all managed to get through it cleanly, but wait for the S's.
Yeah, having a look here, everyone, we've got a few side-by-side battles going on here.
Yeah,
David Haynes
Sutton.
side-by-side. Oh, that's a big crash between two TTL cars there out of the Estes. That is such a shame to see.
Yes, indeed.
More carnage back there.
There we go. Caution flag. The incident is still continuing.
Oh,
we should be going to a replay very soon. It looked like Sutton going side by side with Bo Albert actually made contact with Albert, but Albert was ahead. But that sent Sutton into the wall. We'll get a replay of the start presented by CPR Kart Parts, of course. It looked like a pretty clean start, honestly, up until that point. Everyone just jostling for position, some minor lockups and contact all throughout, but focusing on Sutton, that is where the drama started. Albert going for the move around the outside of the first turn of the S's, and he made it through just before the left-hander, and obviously Sutton did not have enough space, so into the wall he went, took out his teammate, and many other cars besides. Who else was involved in that? Wow, it's incredible. Grant Hines among the drivers involved.
Sam Sutton's teammate there. Yeah, that's a big bit of carnage there. My goodness gracious me. I'm just going back and having a look to try and identify exactly who has been mucked around by that.
I can
Ross
see
Rizzo
Isaac
again.
as well.
Ross Rizzo was involved in that again, so...
Yeah, goodness me. So, yeah, Adam Briggs, Steven Skukovic, Brett Cananzi, Cameron Dance, Andrew Mogridge, Tim Weston, Grant Hines, Ross Rizzo, Tommy Harradine, and Scotty Harris. Reese Keane and Phil Gadd as well involved in that one. So quite a few drivers taken out of contention as a result of that. But I tell you what, the team that I think will be majorly hurting from this one out of the teams up the top of the field will be TTL. All 3 of their cars in this field were involved in that smash.
And that's really not good to see. I mean, that was an innocent racing incident, in my opinion there. Albert had it there, and Sutton, I just don't think Albert realised that Sutton was still at his right rear quarter panel and moved over, taking the regular racing line, and it was just a bit of a bump there. So whether that comes down to his spotter not telling him where he was or anything like that, but unfortunately, yeah, TTL they've suffered. Yeah, I'm just looking at Dance's car now, destroyed. He's still out there at the moment, so he's going to keep on trying. I'm guessing he'll slot into the pit lane when he gets a chance, but that's a shame to see. So we've actually got Josh Anderson, just to touch on the start before all the carnage unfolded. Anderson got shuffled wide. I'm not sure if there was contact or not, but he's gone down from 2nd to 4th, and Healy's jumped up into 2nd, and Hanlon into 3rd from 5th. Bo Albert did not get a great start and went down to 5th place there. So those Altus Esport guys, they're currently sandwiching in Josh Anderson. It'll be interesting to see once we go green again exactly how this all shakes out, because these OPR guys, like we said, they've been fast, but Altus are looking for that podium, so I don't think you're going to see Hanlon give that up easily.
Yeah, certainly not. Hanlon and Albert are in a very good position right now, and after the luck that they've had in these GT Leagues Australia Sprint Series, they will certainly be wanting to make that good. And actually looking once again at the start between Anderson and Shepherd, it just looks to me like Anderson had a minor lock-up and lost the rear. So no contact there. That was all his own doing. But nonetheless, cars are in the position they are in as a result of that. So it's still a One Performance Racing 1-2 up at the front, and we will have one lap to go before we go green at the line, and it's going to be a pretty short one now because we have just about gone over a quarter of the race time.
Yeah, it's amazing. These sprint races really disappear quickly. So these safety cars, they do eat a lot into it. Hopefully the old adage, the safety cars breed more safety cars, doesn't actually come true here tonight. I just want to see an all-out battle between this top five, especially. Like, they've all got pace, and we've got Forzan El Nabi in 6th as well. So he's actually, unfortunately, because Sam Sutton got taken out, he's now up in 6th place. So he's going to be pushing hard after not being able to make it past Sutton. His main championship rival in Healy is 2nd, so don't be surprised if we see El Nabi try to carve his way through the pack there. And just having a look here for some other notable names, Bruce Smith has worked his way up another few positions, 4 positions up to 10th. And I believe he started outside the top 20 in the other race, so some great moves overall at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. That's definitely one of the biggest movers in the field. I'm looking further down, I'm noticing Cody Bircher made his way up from 32nd to 21st. Anthony Winkleman almost touching the top 20 as well. Along with that, I can also see Shannon Mason and Richard Hunter having made good on their starting positions. So we'll be looking out for them. And Shannon Mason, we're just hearing, started race 1 from last position. So I'll tell you what, for obviously not the best start to his night, but he's worked his way up pretty well, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, I believe he actually came out of the pit lane in the first race there, so he's done very well to work his way up there, and now he's already made up 5 positions. And after this safety car, if you've got speed, use it. Now's the best time while the pack is absolutely squished up, because we saw in the last race, Hanlon, once he got past, he couldn't actually catch up to Albert in front of him because he just didn't have that draft. So while you've got that to your advantage, use it, make some good moves, and he's going to, I can honestly say, I think Shannon Mason will be inside the top 15 and close to the top 10 by the end of the race with the pace he's showing at the moment.
Yes, indeed. We'll be keeping an eye on Mason for sure in the timesheets through the second half of this race, because time flies when you're having fun. We're almost at half distance now. We just ticked over 7 minutes of time completed. So it's a long lap around here. 5.4 kilometers is the lap length of this layout of Watkins Glen, and it takes quite the amount of time to traverse under safety car. Dylan Shepherd's last lap was a 3-minute 10.364. That sounds like a lap of Le Mans without the chicanes in an LMP1 car, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Looking at the time, like we were saying earlier, in a 20-minute race, 3 minutes, that's basically, roughly speaking, 2 racing laps. So when they cross the start-finish line to start this race over again, we'll probably only have about 11.5 minutes left, which will leave us with about 5 laps of racing, I'm guessing. So, not 5 laps, sorry, we might have 6 laps-ish of racing left, 7 laps. So interested to see. These guys will know they haven't got that much time under their belts to actually make it work. So I'll be interested to see. They're all doing some tyre warming at the front here. Dylan Shepherd leading the pack around. His main rival in the last race, Anderson, is a few positions behind him. So if he can nail this start, he might be able to run away with this. He does still have his teammate Healy behind to potentially work that draft again. So we come around the last corner now. Pack is nice and bunched up. Safety car is in pit lane. and it looks like Dylan Shepherd has hit the accelerator there, and we see that draft train already starting. Albert got a great jump on Anderson coming down into turn 1 here. He's side by side. He's going to see if he can make this work, and he's sliced down the inside there. Anderson's going to try hold it around the outside, but he won't be able to, so that puts Bo Albert up into 4th place here, Reese.
Yes, indeed. Good job there from Bo Albert to gain the start pretty well, as we're currently looking at David Haynes fighting at the moment to put some distance between himself and Harry Inwood. But meanwhile, Healy and Hanlon battling, as are Albert and Anderson. And Tommy Harradine black flagged, not quite sure why, but Albert still trying his best to defend against Joshua Anderson, who you can see he really is trying to make a case for himself there. And Forzan El Nabi is getting in on this as well. So Bo Albert looking like a bit of a cork in a bottle here, because Hanlon is still a bit of a margin in front of him, but I think it's definitely in Albert's best interest to try and get up to the back of his teammates, see if they can draft each other, get themselves away from this fight that is ensuing. And I tell you what, Anderson will have to be looking out for El Nabi pretty soon, I would wager.
You can say that again. El Nabi is one of the most spirited racers we have in our Australian and New Zealand leagues here, and he will go for a move. If there's a whiff of it, he'll go for it, or at least make it look like that, try and get someone to run wide. So I'd watch out for him. Shepherd hasn't jumped away too far, and Albert has sort of equalised that gap now between Hanlon and Anderson, so he's taken a bit of the pressure off himself after that first lap. Well done on that restart to jump his way around Anderson, but now he's got to try draft up to the back of Hanlon there. Anderson's looking a little bit here, and I don't know if he'll be able to make the moves stick, as looking back at the background here, we've got a couple of cars battling, pushing each other over on the straight here, actually. I'm just trying to find out who they are for you. They look like they've sorted it out, but that was David Bowl. Yeah, that's it there. That looked like that could have been something nasty, but they've sorted it out. And looking at Smith, Rayner, and Haynes at the moment. Wow, they're side by side through the S's there. And was that Smith in the wall there, and nearly Haynes in the wall as well?
Goodness me, that was really close, and Bruce Smith has lost all semblance of straight line speed as a result of that. He's going to go majorly defensive, but he's lifting off to let these guys by. I think he's recognized that his car has pretty major damage. He's going to pull off, and I think that is race over for him. Meanwhile, Hanlon and Healy side by side coming into the boot. A little bit of contact.
Nearly contact between the teammates there too.
Goodness me, that was so close there. Hanlon now carrying a slight bit of bodywork damage as a result of that. But, I think, oh, goodness me, contact between Hanlon and Anderson now. So this is going to allow El Nabi another bit of a whiff of a move. But I think that is purely racing as close as it gets for Michael Healy and Zach Hanlon. No malice there at all. And meanwhile, Hanlon, I think, is starting to drop Anderson as he starts to focus more on El Nabi in his mirrors.
Yeah, exactly it. And now it's up to Hanlon to be on the back of Albert. And what I'm noticing here is Healy doesn't seem to have the speed to take it up to Shepherd like Anderson did. So Shepherd's a bit on his own here, and in that way hasn't been able to jump away from the pack as much here. So he's still well within a drafting range. So if Albert can make a move on Healy, he can potentially get into the draft to Shepherd and go for this race win. So this is very much on with only 5 laps to go here.
Yes, indeed. And Bo Albert has just set the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 45.726. That's a pretty good time for lapping in a pack. Have a look at the commitment from Zach Hanlon. Bit of overcommitment, I think, there, because that has let Anderson right into his draft range. Going to draft all the way up to his rear bumper. This might be a move coming into the carousel. Certainly will be, but can Hanlon hold around the outside? A little bit of a slide there from Anderson, and that has left him no mid-corner grip, so it's allowed Hanlon to stay ahead for now. We'll see what happens there, but in the midst of all of that, that's allowed Albert to break free, which I don't think is a good situation for the Altus Esports team. They would prefer their cars to be close together. Healy running a bit wide. Albert getting a little bit of a look.
And so we've got Anderson and Hanlon are side by side now, and Albert's flashing his lights at Healy as well, but Hanlon's going majorly defensive here. He knows he's under threat from Anderson. Anderson's run wide. He's nearly on the grass there. That's allowing El Nabi back up into this as and he's going to have a look here. Now Narby's going to have to try fight it round the outside. Anderson in trouble here at the moment. Hanlon gets a bit of a reprieve, and further up the road, Albert is right on the back of Michael Healy as well. He can smell this second place. He wants higher on the podium. 4 laps to go this time round, everyone. This is going to be an awesome sprint to the finish.
It certainly is. This is turning into the event that we all hoped it would, I would fairly say. So Zach Hanlon and Bo Albert currently unable to draft each other, and Hanlon currently under a bit more pressure than he would probably like from probably very stressed out Joshua Anderson and a very hungry Forzan El Nabi. I tell you what, shout out to Jimmy Ball. He's staying with these guys very well.
Yeah, he is utilising that draft, and also his pace isn't too bad at the moment either, so he's really sticking with them, and he's doing laps that are a couple of tenths faster than the likes of Anderson and right on with El Nabi and Hanlon at the moment. So he's really, really going for it. And Bo Albert last lap was a 1:45.8, a tenth faster than the 2 guys in front of him. So he has got some major pace. The red mist has descended, and he's going for young and old at the moment. This is awesome to see. And Ball, I reckon he's just waiting for something to go on here in front of him, and he'll be able to slice through. Like it's all going on at the moment.
Yes, indeed. Looking further back in the field, Strickland versus Haynes right now going side by side in the toe of the boot. David Haynes getting past there, and that is for 8th place. We'll see if Strickland can come back at him, but it would take a very brave maneuver for that. The brakes in these cars are very finicky. They give quite a bit of challenge to the driver. Doesn't take much pressure on the pedal to lock them, so the drivers need to be extremely careful. Looks to me like David Haynes is protecting that position as he needs to at the moment. Looking further back in the field, I wanted to draw your attention to Anthony Winkleman, who is currently... Oh, hang on a minute. Jackson Suzlin Harrow spun, and that was contact with Scotty McQueen. Goodness me. Yeah, getting a CPR Kart Parts replay of that one. Anthony Winkleman trying to make his way up through the field and was battling with Harlow. But Harlow, I think, just lost it a bit under brakes. Nearly hit by Winkleman, but fortunately no one seriously encumbered there. I mean, seriously encumbered if you talk about car damage. They were all able to keep going, but their positions really suffered. Anderson, fastest lap of the race now. He's dipped below a mid-145, so he's definitely showing pace, and Zach Hanlon is now under some severe pressure. It's on for the lead, though. Looking up the front, Healy's caught up to Shepard, and Albert has come with him.
Yeah, those the OPR set isn't quite working. And Albert's trying. Oh, that's contact between Albert and Healy there. No, that is not what we want to see. Healy has been half spun there. Albert's going to keep going. We'll see if he redresses there, but Albert's now down in 5th, and Healy's gone down to 7th place. That is really unfortunate there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, that's a difficult one to call. I feel like it was a bit of an optimistic move from Albert there, but Healy diving straight to the inside of the corner to cover him as he was making the move. I suppose part of me says that's the line that you would take through the corner anyway from Healy's perspective, but still, I don't know if that move was the most well judged from Bo's perspective.
No, there might have been a bit of frustration in that move. He'd been stuck behind Healy all race and all of the last race as well, and just wanted to make it work. So, unfortunately, for him, that doesn't look too good. But for his teammate and Zach Hanlon, that's actually promoted him up into 2nd place here. So, he's now flying the Altus Esports flag with 2 laps to go now. We have barely any time left in this race. Anderson has got to make his move now. Shepard has got a nice gap up in front there. It's about 1.5 seconds now back to him. So Shepard can cruise home here, but it's well and truly on between El Nabi and Albert at the moment. El Nabi's going to have to go around the long way here, but he does have a very, very good run coming around the outside on the straight. We'll see how this works out coming down into the carousel. We've seen drivers can hold it around the outside here. El Nabi not looking strong enough through the mid-corner. He's going to have to relent that position. A slide from Albert there through the middle, so El Nabi might be able to bring this back here. They're coming down into the boot section now, and El Nabi's got his run wide though, so Albert's going to crisscross back under him. Ooh. Oh, this is some great racecraft by both these guys.
Yeah, pretty prime stuff there from those guys. El Nabi outbraked himself And so Albert was just able to get through on him. Oh, a little bit more oversteer from Albert. That incident with Healy, I think, has knocked his suspension a kilter. Update from race control as El Nabi tries for another move but slots back in. Jackson Sasler Harlow has been black flagged for that incident that we showed on replay earlier. So that's another penalty. We might be seeing one given to Bo Albert pretty soon, I think, if past race control judgments are anything to go by. So El Nabi may not have to worry about this Altus Esports car in front of him for much longer. Oh, having said that, you don't want to be going on the grass there, Forzan. Not much grip there. Last lap, though, Brock and Shepard way out in front now.
Yeah, well, his main competitors in Healy and Albert were taken out now because Albert made that lunge. So now he's got Hanlon behind him, who hasn't had quite the pace there, but he's managed to keep Anderson behind him there, even though Anderson was pumping out the fastest lap of the race. So unfortunately for him, he just can't quite make it work. And if Hanlon can keep it there, he'll take the first podium for Altus Esports. So there's still a lot to play out in the last sort of half of this lap here. Shepard, if he can bring it home, looks to have the win sealed, and that'll make it 2 wins from 2 tonight for him and OPR. But Anderson, he's ranging up on the back there, and he's trying, and it looks like, did Bo Albert just, is that Forzan El Nabi that's blown an engine there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, that is interesting. He's still going, is Forzan, but he's losing quite a bit of pace.
Yeah, that's personally, I didn't think you could blow an engine in these cars, or not easily anyway. So he's done something interesting there, or something funky's going on, because there is smoke pouring out of the back of that car. Yeah, okay then. El Nabi, he looked like he was on for a good result, but is going to hurt his championship depending on how many spots he loses.
Yeah, certainly. That's not the round that he would have wanted at all. He was actually in front of Michael Healy after the incident between Healy and Albert, but yeah, certainly this is not going to do his championship any favors at all. But Dylan Shepard coming through the last corner, untroubled tonight, was Mr. Shepard. Car 43 taking a dominant win for One Performance Racing, capping off a really quite good event for those guys. And Zach Hanlon flashing his headlights in joy. He takes Altus Esports' first podium. So a good job from him to mostly stay out of trouble. Anderson completing the podium.
Yeah, look, and we have Forzan ended up coming home in 10th place, Forzan El Nabi there. So he started 7th and was looking on for, roughly speaking, a top 5 there. But unfortunately, something interesting happened with his engine there. So not quite sure. It didn't blow because he kept on going. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But just quickly to touch on Altus Esports, I know I've talked a lot about them, but this podium for them has been coming a long time through these last couple of rounds in the GT3 as well. So well done to Zach Hanlon as well as Bo Albert. I know he had that contact, but he ended up 4th. We'll see if there's any post-race penalties to come for that. But I don't know, Reese. I think we had a fairly good show for this second race here tonight as well.
I certainly think we did. We're just getting a replay of Forzan El Nabi's engine going. Certainly a very odd incident, but he still managed to keep going, which I suppose is better than outright retiring on the last lap, which would have been absolute heartbreak for him. At least he still gets some points and stays in that championship fight. But either way, before we go to driver interviews, we'll just go through the official race results as of right now, pending a decision by race control. Dylan Shepard coming home with his second victory of the night. Zach Hanlon in 2nd, Josh Anderson in 3rd, Bo Albert coming home in 4th place with Jimmy Ball in 5th, Michael Healy coming home in 6th place with David Haynes making it from 11th to 7th, Justin Strickland to 8th, Mark Rayner in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 at Forzan El Nabi, but he could have been higher.
Yeah, and in 11th place, we've got Cody Bircher up from 32nd, so a great run from him. Steve Jansen in 12th, Harry Inwood 13th, Wayne Hewitt 14th, David Mulhall 15th, Anthony Winkleman up from 30th in 16th, Richard Hunter 17th, Sam Sutton down in 18th after that first lap contact there, James McKee in 19th, and Adam Briggs up from 37th in 20th place.
In 21st position, we have Jason Cossey, Scott Larnack managed to come home in 22nd position after being involved in the lap 1 pile-up. Tim Weston in 23rd. Steven Skukovic making it from 41st to 24th. A great run from him. Grant Hines recovering to finish in 25th position after his involvement in that lap 1 incident. All not his fault at all. Taylor Oakes coming home in 26th. Jackson Southland Harlow. It could have been a good run for him, but unfortunately a penalty means that he will have to settle for 27th. Shannon Mason down to 28th. Reese Keane in 29th. And our first retirement of the race, rounding out the top 30, Tommy Harradine, again for one performance.
And then on to the rest of our retirements here tonight. Unfortunately, there are a few more of them for race 2. So we've got Scotty McQueen, Cameron Dance, Brodie Whitmore, Bruce Smith, Phil Gadd, Scott Wasson, Ross Rizzo, Isaac Edwards, Andrew Mogridge, Brett Cananzi, and Scotty Harris rounding out the 41 car field here tonight, Reese.
Yes, indeed. Well, looks to me like that is the end of proceedings for tonight, everybody. We certainly hope you enjoyed that, and there's certainly going to be some discussions to come in the series forums. Be sure to like V8s Online on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to have a look at the broadcasts that we man. And also make sure to subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. All of iRacing's biggest and best series are here. This is their home, and this is where we be. You've been watching the V8s Online Porsche Supercup Australasia. My name was Reese Gardner. Brock Caddy joining me, and Jay Kennedy at the controls as director. We'll see you next time.
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.